Right, here's our Chapter 6 test review. For question number 1, we are going to have write 7.8% as a decimal. All right, when I write percents as decimals, I need to take my percent sign away, and I'm going to move my decimal point 2 times to the right. Now, if I'm missing a spot at all, like this one, I don't have anything next to the 7, I need to just insert a placeholder 0, giving me a decimal of 0.078. For number 2, write 1.45 as a percent. Same thing, except we're going to go the other way. Start at my decimal, move it 1, 2, and add a percent sign. This is going to be 145%. Number 3, write 3/8 as a percent. For this one, all I need to do here for a fraction is to divide. So this is just going to be 3 divided by 8. You can use your calculator. I'll just do it by hand. 8 does not go into 3, so we're going to add a 0. 8 goes into 30 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. 30 minus 24 is 6. Not at 0 yet, so drop a 0. 8 goes into 60 7 times. 8 times 7 is 56. 60 minus 56 is 4. Drop another 0. I'm looking how many 8s fit into 40. That would be 5, and it does so exactly. So I know that my decimal is 0.375, but it asks for a percent. So I just need to change this decimal by moving it twice to the right and adding a percent sign. 37.5%. All right. The next 5 are all going to be about this, what percent is of, and a whole bunch of in between. So I like to use A, P, and W, A representing part, W representing whole, P representing percent. What percent is P? The word of is our total. It goes with W, goes with A, and I have 51. Setting this up, I'll use the proportion. Next time I'll use the equation. 51 over 300 equals P over 100. Bunch of ways we can do this. I notice, right, to go from here to here is just dividing by 3. So 51 divided by 3, I get my answer of 17. Remember, I'm looking for a percent, so this needs to be written as a percent. For number 5, we'll do the equation. What number is, that's A. 120%, that's P. 70 is W. You can use the proportion like we did last time. I'm going to use the equation. Equation looks like this. A, which I don't know, is equal to my percent as a decimal, 1.2. I get rid of that, move it twice, times 70. Now when I do this is nice because I just have to multiply. 1.2 times 70 is 84. 25% of what number is 9? There's P. Of what number? That's going to be W. Is 9 is A. So I get 9 over W equals 25 over 100. Cross multiplying here. 9 times 100 is 900. 25 times W is 25W. To get W all by itself, I just need to get rid of the 25 by dividing by it. These are going to cancel out, leaving me with W. 900 divided by 25. If I type that in a calculator, I get an answer of 36. There we are. We'll go back to the equation for this one. 14 is what percent? That's P of 56. That is W. So I have A, which is 14, equals P times W, which is 56. This one, all we have to do is divide to get P by itself, which would be divide by 56. Divide by 56. I get 0.25 equals P. But remember, that is a decimal. P needs to be a percent. I need to move this twice. I get 25% is equal to P. Number 8. 36 is 0.9% of what number? There's A. There's P. There's W. 36 over W equals 0.9%. 0.9 over 100. Okay, to get this one, I'm going to multiply and multiply. 0.9w is equal to 3,600. To get w by itself, we divide by 0.9. When I type that in a calculator, I get my answer of w being equal to 4,000. All right, moving on to percent increase and decrease. Remember, I have a general formula which says for an increase, I go my new value minus my original, divide by the original times 100. For decrease, it's the same, except I'm going to start with my original and subtract by my new value. So since this is an increase, I'm going up from here to here. This goes up. I know this is an increase, so I'm going to start with my new value, subtract my old value, and divide by the original, which is the first one we see. That's where I start. To make this a percent, we multiply by 100. When I go and do this, I get 54 divided by 24 times 100. If I were to type that into my calculator, I'm going to get an answer of 225, and this is a percent, so I just need to include a percent sign. Moving on to number 10, this is a percent decrease this time. So instead of taking my new number first, I'm going to start with my old, since that one's bigger, which will get 72 minus 63 divided by my new value, not my new value, my original value, which is 72. Okay, and then we're going to multiply that by 100. Okay, 72 minus 63 is 9 over 72 times by 100. This is going to leave me, when I type it in, with 12.5%. Make sure you go back and you say what each of these was. This was an increase. This was a decrease. Okay. 10, 11, 12, and 13 all deal with percents of discount and markup. So for number 11, we're finding the sale price. I like going like this. I know that find my sale price means S is missing. My original price is 42. I'm going to set this up into a proportion. Okay? Over here, I need to think, how much am I paying? So 100% would be like paying full price. I have to pay all of it. But the store is going to take away 15%. That's what a discount means. Okay? Leaving me with 85% of the cost that I still have to pay. Right? This makes sense because these two go with how much I'm paying. These two go with how the original price. 100% of the cost would be 42. So what I need to do next is cross multiply like before. I'm going to do on here 42 times 85, and I'm going to get 3570 is equal to 100s, which then I need to divide by 100. Divide by 100. When I divide by 100, I'm going to get a price of $35.70. Okay. For number 12, instead of finding the sale price, I'm now looking for the original price. You can go ahead and use the proportion like last time. Otherwise, if you'd like to use an equation, this is what it looks like. My equation says that my sale price, which is 90, is equal to kind of the same thing, just in different spots, right? I have an 80% discount, meaning that I only need to pay 20%. If it was $100 and you take 80 away, I'm left with 20 to pay. That 20%, I'm going to need to change to a decimal in my equation. So this is just going to be 0.2. Okay? And since I'm solving for my original price, I need my W there. What's nice about this is now to find W, all I need to do is divide by 0.2, or 0.20. 90 divided by 0.2. I get my answer of $450. Now, if you don't like that way and you'd like to set it up in the proportion, you can still do that, right? 90 is on top, W on the bottom, 20 and 100. Cross multiply, I get 9,000 equals 20W, which then, if I divide by 20 on both sides, 9,000 divided by 20, just to confirm, I still get the same exact answer. Okay. For 13, now I'm finding my selling price, which is very similar to sale, except this time I'm working with a markup. So instead of taking away my percents, I'm going to add to my percents. So this is P, this is W. S over 1,600 is equal to 100 plus 33. So I'm going to get 133 on top. Again, I'll write that there. 100 plus 33, since it's a markup. And this is going to be over 100. Now all I need to do is this and that. I am going to get, when I multiply here, 2,12800 is equal to 100s. Divide both sides by 100. I'm going to get a final sale price, or selling price, of $2,128. 14, 15, 16 all deal with my simple interest formula and finding different things about it. So again, simple interest is I equals P times R times T, just like that. You deposit is a key word, that is my initial amount or my principal. Percent sign always goes with R in this case, and whenever I say years, I know that's my T value. So notice I'm looking for my interest earned. I is missing, P is 20,000. R, I need to change to a decimal, so I need to move it twice, add a 0, 0.075, times 10, not 100, times 10 for 10 years. When I type that in, 20,000 times 0.075 times 10. I get I is equal to $15,000. This is my interest earned. My balance then is simple. I just need to add what I started with to what I earned. So this is going to be 20,000 plus 15,000. And my balance of this account then is $35,000. Number 15 says you deposit $400 on an account. The account earns simple interest. So now I know I, and I'm going to be solving for something else. And it says it does that in 2 years. What is the annual interest rate? Rate is always R. I'm solving for R. We're going to use the same exact formula that we used, except this time we're going to solve for a different letter. Here's I, because it says simple interest. This is T. Deposit, keyword for P. 4180 equals 400, that's my p-value, times R, since I don't know my interest rate, times 2, that's my t-value. 440 times 2 is 880 R, which is equal to 4180. To get R by itself, we divide by $880. And I get this decimal of 0.0475. Let me just confirm. Yep, that I do. Now since R is a percent, this is its decimal form. I need to change it. 1, 2 to the right, add a percent sign. My interest rate is 4.75%. Number 16, how long? Now when I read how long, I think time, so this is going to be T, meaning I'm missing it. Principal of 10,000, that's nice that it's given there. $2,064 in interest, that's I. Add an interest rate, R, of 6.88%. We're going to set this up like normal. 2,064, that's my I. My principal was $10,000. My R as a decimal is 0.0688, and my T is the thing I'm missing. All right, when I combine these two, I'm going to get 688 times T, dividing by 688 to get T all by itself. I get time is equal to, when I type that in, it gives me a nice 3. Make sure you include your label of years. All right, last 4, here we go. This one right here, it's a little bit of a comparison in the fact that it's asking how much more do we earn when we put a certain amount of money in. Okay, so account A has an interest rate of 6%, account B has 7. So both those are R. So I'm going to solve these for each. A, my interest, I don't know, that's what I'm trying to solve for, how much more interest. When I deposit, that's P, so I equals 2,000 times account A gets an interest rate of 6%, so 0.06, times, in this case when it says per year, well, we can look at 1 year and then just say, oh, it's this much every single year. So let's look at 1 year, how much do I make? Well, 2,000 times 0.06 times 1 is $120. Doing the same for account B, I is equal to the same amount that we put in, but this time I'm going to use 7%. So 0.07. We'll just look at 1 year. When I do that on my calculator, I get 140. Now I could check year 2, year 3, year 4, or I could just say, hey, I earn 20 more bucks this year. Next year, if I have the exact same things, I'm going to earn 20 more bucks than the year before. So when it's asked, how much more interest do you earn per year? Well, that's just going to be 140 minus 120, or again, that $20 more, and then this is every single year. I'm going to earn $20 more. So after 2 years, I should be at $40. 3 years, $60. 4 years, $80. Every year it just goes up by 20. All right, number 18 says put these in the least to greatest. The way we do this, change them all to the same form. For me personally, I work with decimals. It makes it a little bit easier for me. I know that 66% as a decimal is 0.066. 2/3, when I try and make that a decimal, I get 0.6 repeating. And then this is already a decimal, so we can leave it 0.667. Okay. I can't compare these right now because they have way different digits, right? I just get 0.6 and then the 2/3 stops. I don't know what's on, so I'm going to make sure they all have the same amount. Okay. So it looks like this one has 3, so that's my most, so I want all of them to have 3 to compare. 66%, well, there's nothing afterwards, so I'm just going to put a placeholder 0. 2/3 just repeats a bunch of 6s, so I know my next 2 numbers are just 6s. And then again, this one is 0.667. Looking at each of these digits places, the ones places are all the same. The 10ths place are all the same on these. The 100ths place is the same. And then we get to our final qualifier, which is our thousands place. 66% is the smallest with 0. 2/3 has a 6. That's the next biggest. But 0.667 does remain the biggest. So it looks like they already were in order, but we just got to double check that. Okay. Number 19 says identify the rate of change from 3/4 to 7/12. Now, you can do this in fraction form, or you can change these just to decimals. And I'm going to actually do both of them in case you wanted to know which one you like better. So leaving it as fractions, right? I have 3/4. Well, first of all, actually, I can't even write 3/4 because I need to make sure one of these is bigger, right? Because I do the biggest value minus the smallest value. So between 3/4 and 7/12, I'm trying to get these to have the common denominator. Well, 4 times 3 gets me to 12. So if I do that on top and bottom, I'll have something that's equivalent. Right, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 3 is 12. 9 twelfths is 3/4, but now 9 twelfths and 7 twelfths have the exact same bottom. 9 twelfths is bigger, so we lucked out there at the beginning. 9 over 12 minus 7 over 12 divided by my original value, which in this case is 9 twelfths, right? 3/4, 9 twelfths, same thing, times 100. Okay. Well, 9 twelfths minus 7 twelfths is 2 twelfths. And then when I go to divide by 9 twelfths, we're going to notice that I have to do a little bit of multiplying by the reciprocal. So 2 twelfths times 12 over 9. These 12s cancel, and I'm left with 2 ninths. Times 100, well, that just goes to the top. I get an answer of 200 over 9%. To make that into a decimal, I just do 200 divided by 9, which gets me this, 22.2 repeating percent. And since I went from 9 twelfths to 7 twelfths, this is a decrease or down. Okay, a lot of fractions there. Let's put this into decimal form. Okay, 3/4 as a decimal is 0.75. 7 twelfths as a decimal is a little strange, so it's a little bit harder to work with. You can, but you got to make sure you keep it all. I get 0.583 repeating. Okay, since I started at 0.75, that goes on the bottom. Right, when I do this, I'm going to get 0.75 minus 7 twelfths, and I get this answer of 0.16 repeating, divided by 0.75. When I divide by 0.75, I get an answer of 0.2 repeating, which then I multiply by 100 to make it a percent. And again, I see this 22.2 repeating percent, and it's still a decrease. Either way, get that same answer. Last question, number 20, is a little bit interesting. It's actually, there's a piece of information we don't even need here to solve this problem. Okay, here's how I see it. So, shelter A and shelter B, I'm going to make a little ratio table, has a ratio of this. I know in my ratios I can set it up like this. This is just a ratio table. 1 to 4. So for every one bed in shelter A, there's 4 in shelter B. Well, it tells me that shelter A has 200 beds. So I'm going to write 200. Meaning that when I go to do this, right, I just need to multiply each of these by 200. 1 times 200 is 200. 4 times 200 is 800. I already know the capacity of shelter B. It's 800. Last part here is it says, well, shelter B is 25% occupied. So if 800 is my total beds, and I'm looking how many of those are occupied, so I write O for occupied, and then I know that 25%, 25 over 100 is occupied, then this just becomes a cross multiplying problem. 800 times 25 is 20,000. 100 times O is just 100 O. Divide by 100. Divide by 100. I get my answer of 200 occupied beds. Just like that. Right. There is your Chapter 6 test review. Use this as your study guide, and good luck on the test.